Let's roll. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Uh, hey everybody, it's Matthias here with the Little Mo Club. Today I am very excited. We have a great guest with us here today, Wayne Bryan. Um, m some of you may not know who Wayne is, but I'm sure you know who his sons are, the Bryan brothers. Wayne is not only the father of the Bryan brothers, but he was also the coach, so he has a lot of coaching experience developing juniors and sending them to the big leagues. And he even wrote a book called Raising Your Child to Be a Champion in Athletics, Art, and Academics. Because Bob and Mike were great in all three of those. And today we wanted to talk with you about some of that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Thank you so much, Wayne, for being with us today.
Well, I'm happy to do it, and congrats on having a podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Wayne, as I was saying before, you usually speak about parents and, how to raise a
Yeah,
champion with parents. But as you know, the MCB tennis and the Little Mo Club, we're all about promoting junior tennis. So
right,
this time I wanted to ask you some questions from a junior player's perspective. Uh,
great,
so is that okay? You ready to go?
great. I was a junior myself. I've coached a lot of juniors, and I think I know a little bit about it.
So I remember about 4 or 5 years ago, I actually had the opportunity of attending one of your clinics in Palm
Yeah,
Springs at a Little Mo. And I remember like when we started the clinic, there was some kids that lost in the game or the challenge. And one thing that like everybody was shocked about that I remember very vividly was just like you were like you are all losers or something like that.
right,
And
right.
everybody like I could tell everybody was shocked, but then later I understood like why you said it. But can you tell like our audience what you meant by that, like
Right.
knowing?
I,
Yeah.
I think one problem we have in our society with players and adults and parents is they don't understand losing. You know, every day, half the people lose in sports. A lot of people lose in business and academics and in the arts and everywhere. And I really feel you have to get next to losing. You got to get, you don't, nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to be called a loser, but you gotta get next to it and get relaxed with it.
Right.
If you notice, if you're in a clinic with me, we probably play 20 or 30 games in an afternoon, and you're going to win some and you're going to lose some. And when you lose them, I call you a loser. And when you win one, I call you a champion or a winner just for that instant, you know?
Right.
Um, losing is what makes winning wonderful. If you don't have losing, winning is not so great. I remember I used to always say, after each workout we had at our club through the years, we had about 85 juniors on 17 courts every day.
Wow.
And we would have these fireside chats. I'd be sitting here talking to all the juniors and adults in a room like I'm in today. And I would ask some kids, I said, who's the biggest loser in the history of our club? And they'd all giggle and laugh and point to various kids. And when they were done, I said, well, really the biggest loser in the history of our club is Mike and Bob Bryan. They lost more than anybody. They also won more than anybody. On the pro tour, they lost over 350 matches. You say, my God, that's a lot of matches to lose. But they also won more doubles matches than anybody in tennis history, too. I think about 1,150, and it's the losing and striving to win that makes them great. When I call somebody a loser, I don't dislike them, I don't disrespect them or anything like that. They just lost that particular game or contest. And when you lose that particular game or contest, you lost. You're a loser. If you win that particular game or tournament or contest or Grand Slam, you're a winner and you're a champion. But not always, just for that instant. And it's no disrespect to lose. Everybody hates losing. I can remember one time the great Pete Sampras, one of the greatest players to ever play, one of the all-time greats. Um, they put him out on court two for the first time. He had won Wimbledon, I think, 6 years in a row. And for some reason, they put him out on court one or two rather than Sinner. And he lost to a guy named George Bastel, a guy from Switzerland who was ranked like 232 in the world.
Wow.
Pete was in shock. his locker was upstairs right next to Mike and Bob with all the seated players. And Mike and Bob were kind of nearby, and they were getting ready to go out for their match. And they looked over, and here's Pete. He was about 30, 31 years old. He had his head in a towel, and he was weeping, crying like a baby, you know. And what was he at that moment? He was a loser, and he took it hard. But I guarantee he came back and won a lot of matches and a lot of tournaments after that. So I think rather than getting freaked out and recoiling in horror, being called a loser, you just got to recognize that's part of it. And the minute you lose, buckle your chin strap, pick up your racket, and get out there and try to win the next match. Some people never get this. Some people, parents write me letters, but they don't really understand, and they don't help their child become a champion, because you've got to get next to losing. You've got to be able to lose, and then step right up and get out there and do the practice and get ready for the next tournament and try to win the next one. So I do not see losing as a massive negative for your life. It just means you lost that match. And if you play tennis or any sport, or if you're in music or drama or theater or business or grades, you're going to lose a lot. And if you can't take it, if you can't take losing, you're not going to ever be a champion. It's the losing that creates greatness. It's your ability to deal with losing that also great. And if you're on one of my group games and you lose, you're going to go down a court. There's consequences of losing. And if you win, you go up a court. If you win, you get a trophy. If you win, you get a cookie. You lose, you're going to pick up papers or leaves or sticks or what have you. But that's just what makes it fun.
And, speaking about Mike and Bob, how were they like growing up? Were they competitive amongst each other? Did they fight a lot as siblings? How did they like to train? And how did they face their losses? Were they very emotional about them? Or as you say, did they take it well? How was it?
That's a great question. There's a lot to that you've asked. Did they like losing? No, they hated losing, and they loved winning. They love winning the games in practice. And I believe, and I'm talking to parents as well as coaches here and as kids, I believe you should have competition in your practices. You don't just drill all the time. The greatest players, they like to compete even in practice. So everything we did, it was a private lesson, we try to hit 100 or hit 50 in a row in the alley. Whatever we're doing, it was competitive. So they love to compete, and they played tennis every day. Why? Because they loved it. They couldn't wait to get out to the courts. How much did they practice when they were little guys, 5 and 6? An hour and a half a day. But as they got older and older, more and more. When they were in high school, we would get them out of school like at noon, sometimes 1 or 2, and they would play, about 4 hours a day. They'd have private lessons with my wife or I. We'd have them in a big group, and then they'd play singles and doubles every day. I'm really a big believer. You should try to play singles sets and double sets every day. And then they played a tournament every weekend. Because we made them? No, because they wanted to. They loved getting out there. They were also, and this is a big tip for kids as well as adults, they were also very social. They had a lot of friends in junior tennis. I'm a big believer, if you make friends in junior tennis, you'll want to go out there and play. If you don't like the people you play against, you're not going to be in the sport very long. But if you like the people you compete against and you make friends, going to tournaments is going to be a lot more fun. I can remember I coached a pretty big player in world team tennis. It was a gal. And we were going in a limo to a clinic one day. And I said, by the way, I'm not going to say her name. Who's your best friend in tennis? She goes, I don't have any friends in tennis. I hate all the girls on the tour. Well, it was very interesting. She had one good year on the tour, and then she, after that, never really won any matches. So I think having friends and making it very social every day in your workouts and also at the tournaments just makes tennis much better. They had all kind of friends on the tour. Maybe 1 or 2 guys they didn't really care for, they didn't get along with out of the 23 years they played. But other than that, they got along with everybody. So a big key is socialization, having a good time, um, competition in your workouts, competition each weekend, playing a good schedule. I think the better schedule you play, the better player you can be.
Right.
I always say players play. He who plays the biggest schedule is always the best player. I'd also encourage everybody, Matthias, to play doubles each week. So many juniors today don't play doubles. Why play doubles? It rounds out tennis skills, teaches volleys, teaches crisp, hard, low returns. It teaches great movement at the net and serving and volleying. Kids that don't play doubles, I think skills are limited. I also think it teaches additional life lessons. You have to learn to get along in a pressure situation with another human being. I think doubles is more fun, and there's always more smiles on the doubles court. When you lose a singles match and you're in the doubles, you're happy. You're still going. Yeah. You only remember your last match. So socialization, playing doubles, having a good schedule each and every day, and playing tournaments every weekend. I also think you want to make sure your daily workouts are not only competitive, but they're fun, exciting, thrilling. And there should be winning and losing, as I said a little bit ago, in your workouts each and every day. That makes it more exciting. I could talk about what the boys did for hour upon hour, but they just love playing each and every day, and they love playing tournaments every weekend. I think too many kids also, besides not playing doubles, I think they don't play in the tournaments. I think they think, oh, I gotta work out. I'm not ready. I gotta practice. Nah, I think you gotta play a tournament every weekend or every week. I remember with the first year on the tour, they were playing in Cincinnati, and they went to a nearby gym to work out. And they look over, and there's Andre Agassi, who was a great idol of theirs. And he's in there working hard, pumping iron, doing all his workouts. And they said, Andre, my God, why are you working out right now? Because you got a big match tonight at 7 o'clock, the feature match on center court. He said, hey, Mike and Bob, if I don't work out the days I play, I'm never going to work out, because I play almost every day in tournaments. So I think, what drives tennis is the playing of the competition. At its core, tennis is competition. That's what drives it, the winning and losing. But because it's tough, you got to surround it with fun and other kids and trips and music and miniature golf and trips to water parks and beach parties and camp outs and all that other stuff. Don't just do the blood and guts tennis. You got to make it a well-rounded, circular atmosphere.